My mom's an alcoholic, and she was a crackhead.
There's people behind me, there's people in front of me, there's people beside me, and when you go to talk, they all look at you. It's really creepy.
When I got suspended, I would stay home and drink.
I hated my life.
I grabbed a couple of belts and hung them on a door and strapped them together and tried to hang myself.
Yeah, I got suspended for throwing scissors across the room. It's kind of bad. I didn't throw them at someone, though.
Bipolar issues up the ass. Girl. Yeah, right, chill out.
Growing up, watching my dad, like, hit my mom, I think that's where I got my anger from.
You can come work it out with me. Russ, that's a no, right?
Students who might be labeled the bad kid are simply students who we haven't found a way to reach them. We don't know what it is in that kid's past that's making them necessarily behave that way.
I will allow you to come back tomorrow. And I'm not going to overlook this because we're going to have a little chat about this, but we're going to have a little chat about this when you're sober.
I mean, I've dealt with elementary school kids whose parents prostitute them out for drug money, you know, and they get up every day and they come to school. And I point out to teachers, like, you know, if that was your night and you were 12, would you come to school? Would you get up? Would you go to your job? You know, you'd be destroyed.
Walking into Somersworth High School, I knew that I was walking in my first year into a school that had one of the highest dropout rates in the state.
My freshman year, some of my friends were coming to school trashed. I was like, wow, I don't get how they could. And I don't get how teachers could not tell that they were drunk. Like puking in class.
Freshman year I came here, no one really helped me. They didn't really know my situation. Kind of didn't really care.
So you could literally come in the door for 3 years, flunk every class, and no one would really say much to you.
A girl in the grade younger than me was being told that because she was a nigger, she was going to be killed, her family was going to be killed.
So it wasn't that I didn't like school. It was I didn't like the atmosphere of the school.
I was always suspended. Always suspended. Detentions all the time. I lived in detention. Because it's stupid. Because it sucks. I would do anything for attention. That's what I wanted. I wanted to get in trouble. As unrealistic as that may sound, I wanted to get in trouble.
Obviously, the way we're doing business for addressing behavior is not working. So how can we change that?
This is a concentration and an ensemble.
Teachers would always say, if they would only behave, I could teach them more. And when, you know, positive behavior supports was introduced to us, it kind of just seemed like the correct fit.
Gosh, hopefully I can come up with it.
Positive behavior intervention systems.
Public behavior intervention something?
I've never heard of PBIS.
Public behavior intervention system.
Positive behavior intervention in school? What does that S stand for?
It's always the S that, I don't know. Supports, yes. That's always, the S always gets it. The thing that I like about the PBIS structure is that you're not just going on feelings and what we think people feel like and what we think the students feel like and what the teachers want. Everything's data-driven.
It's that notion on focusing on what kids should do instead. When you talk about behavior, it's all about don't do this. Talk about academics, it's all about do this. That shift in thinking from I'm going to nail you if you break the rule versus I need to teach you, and then recognize when you do that behavior is fundamental. That, in essence, in my mind, is really the process that we call school-wide PBS or PBIS.
You don't have to rule with an iron fist, and I think the teachers are realizing that. The relationship between students and teachers is a lot more open. It's gotten over the years, and students aren't afraid of teachers as much.
You're welcome. Can I have chocolate, please? Yes, you may. Nice job on the calf.
Kids, if you stop them in the hallway, they would know the behavior expectations.
Consistency, understanding one another, and teamwork are the three essential things to the PBIS system.
It's an approach for organizing best practices. And then somebody says, well, what's that organization look like? We say that it's really a continuum of interventions. What do we have in place for all kids? What do we do with the kids who need a little extra? And what do we do with the kids who need something much more intensive? It's about teaching kids specifically social skills that allow them to be successful as they move through their school day, as they move through their community, as they move through their experiences at home.
They figured out that I wasn't normal. I don't know if you consider me abnormal, but I wasn't. Well, I don't want to call it disability, because I'm not disabled. I'm just mentally disabled.
Kelsey, what's the agenda for today?
You're asking me?
I always ask you.
Part of the renew process, your meeting. What do you want to work on today?
What's the most pressing issue for you?
Graduating. Why not?
Graduating.
They realized that I wasn't learning at the rate that everybody else was learning. So then they kind of paid attention to that.
This is really doable.
Yeah,
I can hear you have a lot of fear about IM3 though. That's your biggest.
Okay.
So it's
what
building
kind of
in support.
supports?
She's going to need support for IM3.
They bring you in, and if you're willing to do it, they'll help you make goals and stuff so that you don't drop out and you succeed a little bit more.
So speak with Mrs. Lampros about Renew. Ms. F is going to do that, and Kelsey's going to follow up.
And sometimes we get really, really lucky and go out on a limb and create opportunities for kids. And they pull it together and, you know, makes it worthwhile. I mean, not every day is going to be a success, but one success carries me a real long way.
What we have to be able to say to all those kids and families is every single kid belongs in this public school. And we're going to make it work for every single kid. And we can't afford the social, emotional, and financial cost of sending so many kids somewhere else where they're not monitored, where we don't really have a good handle on what they're getting for instruction, and where they're eventually going to be discharged to come back home to what?
At about 9 years old, my mom just said that I'm going nowhere in my life, so she sent me away to Utah. It's like a correctional facility. I was there for 11 months and 27 days. Like, a lot of the staff there would beat a lot of the kids. So I ran away one time, trying to get away from this place, and this big, heavy guy, not like heavy, but like jacked, came at me and uppercutted me, lifted me off the ground like by punching me. I was like puking out blood for like the next week and a half.
They can restrain you, like they'll take your arms, go like that, restrain you. And they can put you on the floor if you throw fists, like they can literally grab you and throw you on the floor. You get 3 strikes, then you go to timeout, which is in the padded room. And then you go into the room with the desks, and then you process your way out of timeout and go back to the room. And more than likely get sent back to timeout.
And they sit in the classroom tied down by duct tape while they're humiliated, while they're pointed at by the teacher. These are 4 and 5 and 6-year-old kids. None of us would stand for this with our children or our grandchildren. Not for a minute.
Even though I was probably the definition of a bad student, the teachers, they just never stopped, which was good. They weren't just like, oh, you're a failure, dropout. Like, it wasn't like that. They wanted me to succeed. They cared about me. And then I realized that by the end of sophomore year, I was like, these people actually care about me, and I just don't care about myself.